It easy to want vengeance, natural as death.
Welcome everyone to one of my newest reviews to one of the newest shows on AMC, The Terror, Infamy. This is season 2 of now what it looks like to be an anthology series back from last year's premiere of the show, season 1, The Terror, which is based off of a novel. This one is now straying away from the source material, which I found very interesting when they were announcing a season 2. And this is, like I said, one of their newest shows on AMC. Nosferatu just recently ended a couple weeks back. If you're familiar with my channel, I also reviewed that, but I was really excited to get on board and start talking about this movie. And the first episode, as I said, premiered tonight, and I was really intrigued. It is a bit bleak on where it's going, at least for the supernatural part of the story, but that's kind of like how season 1 was. But before I get into anything else, tell me in the comments below if you did watch it. What did you think of it? And if you are intrigued to see it, because I do recommend it if you're the type that likes horror element type of shows. And don't forget, consider clicking on that subscribe button and the bell in order to hear any more future content from me for your future enjoyment. What I liked about this episode and even season 1 is that they take historical events and blend it with a supernatural element to it. And granted, the first season is based off of a book, but they're still using historical facts. In this case, the ship, which was named the Terror, and how it was stuck in the Arctic. And they just add that element of having this beast, this monster that's inhabiting that area. Here, with this one, you're taking an event in 1941. They're having the Japanese Americans that were located in the camps. They were being kept there during that time. And this is a part of history that I really wasn't familiar with, and I love history. And as I said, this is 1941. This is also during the time of the Pearl Harbor attack, and that's actually one of the things that happens in the first episode. And if you're not familiar with the date, that was actually on December 7th. But aside from the historical part of the show, that's pretty much the bulk of it. What you have in regards to the story, there's the supernatural part and the one dealing with most of the characters. Now, the supernatural side of the story, as I said before, is a little bit bleak. You're getting little hints of what's going on, and it seems to be a ghost or spirit, some sort of demon that's inhabiting that area. And that's kind of like what the first season did too. We knew it was some monster, something that was getting to these men and killing them, but we really didn't get to see what that creature was. Sometimes towards the end, but even then we didn't really get a clear look of it. And just within it all, you know something's going on, but you just get little dabs of that terror. It's just like a spooky, eerie feeling. You just get little bits of glimpses, and you get these little vibes. But throughout the entire show, I'm talking about first season here, you're feeling that really eerie vibe within the whole time you're watching it. And just by this first episode, a few weird things happen. You don't know what's going on, but you're still really uncomfortable, and it's very unsettling with what's going on. And I think that's the essence of this show and why it works so well. But as I said before, we get little spurts of these weird, eerie things going on that really stick with you throughout the entire episode, and it starts way at the beginning. If you remember, you have that woman, she's walking down the dock, and she's walking weird, moving her neck kind of weird, and she kneels down and she takes one of the chopsticks that's in her hair and just shoves it in her ear. And it was just so hard to watch, and I actually watched it twice because my fiance wasn't around when I was watching the episode for the first time, so I watched it again. It was still hard to watch. So it seemed pretty obvious at that moment there, something provoked or possessed her to kill herself, because once again, we see that later on with the late wife's husband, that some type of invisible force forces him to look up at the sun, and his corneas get burnt, and then he goes blind. So there's something there that's trying to murder everyone by committing suicide. That's what I was seeing mostly with the supernatural part. I'm sure we'll get more of it as we roll along with the next few episodes. But in regards to the characters, we have the main one, Chester, played by Derek Miko, and it looks like he will be the main star that we see most of the time. George Takei, he was one that I was thinking we would see a lot more, being that he is one of the more well-known stars of the show. He seemed a bit in the background in this one, but I feel we're going to see more of him as the show progresses. But the main character, Chester, he looks like to be parents of Japanese immigrants, and he joins the army. And it looks like he has this secret affair going on with another woman who is a Mexican immigrant, and it is forbidden for both of them to be together. But it looks like Chester has this little secret on the side that may eventually interweave throughout the story as we go further along through the season. But it's just showing them living in these camps and what it was like for them during this time. So it has a very human quality, just as the first season did. It's showing how humans can react and act during a certain situation, but having this supernatural terror, so to speak, in the background, and how these characters eventually developed, and you see the terror in their eyes as you progress throughout the show, and that's exactly what happened in season 1. The last thing I want to mention is the production design. This is something I really appreciate in movies and TV shows when they take a historical event and recreate it. Here is 1941, and you have that blend of the Americana of that time, but also the Japanese culture. But this is probably one of my favorite decades of the last century, and I just love the costume design in this. It has that vibe of 1940s as it should. And we're not really getting a glimpse of San Francisco because we're mostly in the camps because they're on an island, and you're not really going to get to see most of the cityscape, at least as far as we know. And just the way this show is shot, this is another thing I love, is cinematography and the opening shots of the moment where we see this woman, she's going and she kills herself. The backgrounds are so beautiful. You can tell it's morning, and just the skies have this orange pink look to it, and it's just beautiful. It's very cinematic in a movie sense, and I just enjoyed that and many other scenes that went along. It's just, some of them is very dark lit, some of the moments that we see in this episode, but it's still beautifully shot, and just the way they shoot it, it's eerie, but it's hauntingly beautiful at the same time. This is, of course, just an introduction to where the story is going. We're just getting a good feel of the characters and really a bleak look at what this supernatural menace that is plaguing this small community. But I think this season's off to a good start, just as last season was. You have really intriguing characters, a really promising premise, and just a really attractive looking environment that just mixes up for a really good ghost story. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my quick review on the first episode of The Terror Infamy. I will be back, of course, next week with episode 2 once that premieres. In the meantime, check out my channel. I have a lot of more reviews regarding movies and TV shows, and I'm also doing a special segment right now on 1000 movies you must see before you die. I have the first episode right now, which is The Terminator, and I plan on doing 2 months, so please check out my channel, and don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on it. I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you later.